Hi, everybody. Welcome. So excited to have you here. I am Aleeza Ben Shalom, your hostess with the mostest. And we are going to talk about 7 dating rules that you should break. And tonight's webinar is sponsored by Fast Pass to Love, FASSPASS to love.com. That is with Jessica. She is a phenomenal matchmaker. She has made international matches. Her specialty is international and long distance matchmaking. She's worked with people from across the globe, which is pretty spectacular. And at the end of the webinar, she's going to tell you more about herself and what she does. And we've started to collaborate and work together where she does matchmaking and we offer coaching. And together we help singles to get over the hurdles and under the chuppah. So we are so happy that they are our sponsor this evening. You should check them out. They work with singles who are secular, traditional, modern, Orthodox, somewhere in that range. That's her specialty. Okay, so we are going to get started with 7 dating rules that you should break. Okay, so there's rules that we should follow, and then there's always exceptions to rules, and then there's rules that you should just break. And we're going to talk about what they are. Are you ready? Everybody ready? Okay, great. Here we go. Dating rule number 1 that, hang on, there we go, that you should break is, a lot of people tell you, you should follow your instincts. Now, I'm going to tell you to break it. You know why? Let's start with why you shouldn't break it. If you're somebody, you follow your instincts. Whenever you follow your instincts, it works out. Like, it's the thing. Like, you are super in touch. You know. Then you could follow your instincts. But in general, a lot of people struggle with following their instincts because they don't trust themselves, or they haven't made good decisions, or they're making a fear-based decision. They're not sure if it's a decision based on an instinct or a fear, and it kind of gets all smushed together. So what happens if you're a person who continuously dates the wrong person? Meaning you like somebody or something that might not be good for you. Even though you're drawn to it, even though you're attracted to it, in your mind, you know that it's not going to be good for you, even though in your heart or in your actions, you're running after it and you're chasing after it. So in that case, we actually want you to not follow your instincts. In general, we want you to follow your instincts, but really, if you're somebody who is just chasing after the wrong thing, you can't follow your instincts. You can't trust them because it's not going to lead you down a road to success. So what we want you to do is to temporarily, not permanently, just for a moment, stop following your instincts and get some perspective. Either step back and kind of look at your situation from above, be objective, try to use your brain over here, put your heart over there, like your desires and what you want kind of goes to the side, and what you know is good for you, we want you to start to chase after, okay? Okay, so number 1 is the rule that you should break. Normally we're going to tell you to follow your instincts, but in this case, we're going to tell you to break it. Hold on. Okay, so number 2, in terms of rules you should break. So in general, oh, here comes Sarah. She'll be on in a minute. In general, there's this rule that ladies should not ask men out or should not pursue men. And it seems to be that that's like the thing. We want to feel like a lady. We want a gentleman to ask us out. We want there to be a little bit of that romance or something. And a lot of women feel very strongly about not pursuing a guy. In the modern day and age, which is where we live, it is extremely common for women to ask men out or to drop a hint. And we have talked about this before, and a lot of people are like, well, ladies, I'm super uncomfortable with it. So I'm not telling you that you have to do it, but if you're uncomfortable with it, then it's okay. You don't have to do it, but you should consider it, because if you're not getting the suggestions that you want, and there's somebody there in front of you that you do want, and they're not making a move, it might not be because they're not interested. It might be because they're too shy, or it might be because, oh gosh, there's a whole host of reasons why somebody, men, do me a favor on this webinar, please take a minute and start typing in, why might you not ask out somebody that you're actually interested in? Why might you not ask them out? There's so many reasons. Maybe you're busy. You might already be dating somebody else. So you're not asking them out, but you'd be interested. We don't know. You don't know if she's interested, right? You don't know if it's mutual. So it's like, I don't know if I want to ask her out, because what if I ask her out and then she turns me down and then it's not the right thing, right? It doesn't feel good. Sometimes men don't ask women out, right? We have a comment here because it's like a gut feeling, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be asking her out. Maybe somebody's intimidated. Good. Thank you, men. This is great. Fear of rejection. Yes, totally. Fear of rejection is enormous. And for men, by the way, ladies, men are always trying to ask women out. And sometimes, by the way, sometimes they're not even sure. They're like, are you single? Are you married? Are you, like, who are you? Are you available? Are you interested in me? They don't want to be rejected, or maybe they're looking for somebody else to jump in there and to help them out or facilitate the match, and they don't want to be overly assertive or aggressive. Hi, Sarah. Welcome back.
Hi. I really hope this works.
Okay, we're praying.
But
So,
you? Okay, sorry.
Do you want me to throw you host so you can try to get back on?
Yeah.
Okay. So one moment, ladies and gents. Okay. So ladies, you could break the rule. You can ask the men out, or you can be like the ladies. We talked about this on a different webinar. You know, the ladies in the olden days, they had a little handkerchief and they used to like drop it, and the gentleman would come over and pick it up. And, right. So if you want to drop a hint because you don't want to ask directly, then you can drop a hint. That's totally fine. Oh, you got to throw it back. Sarah?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay, sorry.
Your host.
Thing bumped me off. Tonight, by the way, when this happens, this means that there's just going to be a lot of technology stuff. You have to throw the host back again. Sorry.
I did.
I know. Do it again. Oh, Sarah, throw it back.
I keep throwing it back. Are you not getting it?
Nope.
This is like the fourth time.
Oh, thank you everybody for your patience. Welcome to the world of Zoom and virtual dating, where anything can happen. While we're working on this for one moment, please do us a favor and throw in the chat box where you are from. We've had from South Africa, we've had from Belgium, all over the States, Israel, London, Canada, Mexico. People are from all over. So I would love to hear where you guys are from. LA, Toronto, Maryland, Cali.
Aleeza, it's not working. I threw it back to you like 10 times. I think I should just get off.
Okay.
And
Seattle.
Yeah, I'm gonna get off, okay?
Rio de Janeiro. Yes. Oh, you also used to live in Belgium. Cool. "2 a.m. in Belgium." Wow. We are going to try to do webinars earlier, but not yet. Miami Beach. Fantastic. Okay, this is so bizarre. I can't get my video to pop back on. Okay, so we can just use this as a teachable moment and the opportunity to say that when you're on a date, a Zoom date or something like this, and technology fails you, don't despair. Here I am. Hi, everybody. Southern Cali. Hi, Adam. Okay, great. I know you could still hear me, but you couldn't see me. It's no fun. I want to see you guys too. Okay, so Sarah will come back on in a minute. Okay, so ladies, we already got up to this. You can ask men out. It's okay. I'm okay with it. You're okay with it. Now, don't be overly assertive, aggressive. It's like totally unappealing. You have to still be a lady, but give it a shot. Okay, here we go. You ready? The next rule that you should break. So somebody tells you that you should date somebody. Hold on. How do we do this? I'm going to mix this up. You can correct me in the comments. Okay. Don't date somebody who isn't your look. You got to only date people that are your look. Okay. So here's the deal with looks, and we've talked about it before, but in general, I want you to be dating people that are your look. And sometimes you're going to get a great suggestion of somebody who's not your look, but on the inside, they're your look. And I want you to give the outside an opportunity. Here's what happens. Our eyes look at people and we connect with somebody, but we don't always see what we like. And we could see the inside that we like, but the outside doesn't look familiar to us. It doesn't look like that image that we've had in our head of what we're looking for. It doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't look like what we want or what we think we want. And if it's neutral, like I say, neutral, par plus, par minus, if it's somewhere in the middle range, it can get better. It can improve. People do marry people who start out as neutral, and then all of a sudden, a couple weeks down the road, they see them and they really, really connect to them. And that's possible. But it also turns the other way where maybe, you know, it's not going to work. So we need to bring people into balance. If you are somebody in general who only will date your look and you never, ever, ever give anybody outside of your look a chance, then you've got to break that rule. You've got to sometimes try dating somebody that's a little bit more in the middle range and not your perfect range. If you're somebody who gives everybody a chance, then what I want you to do is I want you to be selective. I want you to try to look for your look and be open to really the inside sparkling. And then if the outside is not exactly what you want, giving it a longer opportunity to develop, because I've seen it happen and I've seen it work. And the biggest complaint I get is, but Aleeza, I just had this call last week. I had 2 of them actually. But Aleeza, I don't want to come to like them. That's a look that I didn't like from the first get-go. I don't want to come to like that. If I didn't like it then, I don't want to like it. But that's not a good way to go about dating. It's not a good way, because if our eyes start to become used to somebody and we become comfortable with them, chaval, why should we miss out on somebody who's really beautiful on the inside, who comes to be beautiful to us on the outside? Clearly, there was something with our vision that was off, and we had to put on our glasses. And in terms of dating glasses, that means that you have to look through different lenses. And the way you do that is by dating them more times. That's how you improve your dating vision. You have to go out with them for a longer period of time to see if something is there and if it can develop. If it can, great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't work and we move on. Okay, I know there's gonna be a lot of complaints and questions about the looks. We always go through this, and we are gonna have a seminar, by the way, Sarah, all about attraction and looks.
Works for me.
Fantastic. Okay, throw you host, right? Let's try again.
No, let's not. I think I'm gonna stick on audio for now.
Okay, great. Okay, here you go. So, okay, in addition to looks, sometimes people tell you only date the personality type that really works for you. And in general, I'm such a fan of like attracts like, and you know what you know about yourself and what you know works for you. You should only date that type. But I have to tell you, you need to break that sometimes, because sometimes we don't realize that what we like we talked about before, might not be good for us. And in terms of personality, it might not be good for us. It could also be that what we like, it could be good for us, but it's not the only thing that's good for us. Even though we think that that's the best, it might not be true. And so I want you to branch out and try to date people that might not exactly fit personality, what you're looking for, but that have the potential to be somebody that could be within a range of acceptable. Now, all I'm asking you to do is to stretch and expand your box a little bit for the sake of getting different suggestions and getting different results. Because if what you're doing hasn't been working, then we've got to try something different. That's one of my like Aleeza-isms, right? You know, if you keep doing the same thing again and again, then you're going to get the same results. So at a certain point, we have to change it up. And these are some of the ways that I want you to change it up. Okay, next one. Number, let's see where we're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you know what? That's so funny. I think I wrote 8. Ooh, you guys are going to get a bonus one. Okay, so number 5 is don't be you. Like, you got to be what somebody else wants. You got to like put on a show. Bad dating advice. Okay? It is not a dating rule to be what somebody else wants. A lot of us, if you're a thinker like me, you sit in your head and you're like, okay, so they're like this, so I need to be like that because they're going to be attracted to this and that's what's going to work for them. And all of a sudden you have this whole little song and dance going on in your head, and that's not what we want. We don't want that song and dance going on in our head. What we want is for you to be who you are. And we want somebody to be attracted to you, the best version of you, but we want them to be drawn and attracted to you. And that's something that's really important to us. So don't try to be somebody else. If you're somebody else on a date, I don't even care if they like you. They're not going to like you long term. They only like who they think that you are, and it's not really you. So it's just a really bad way to go about dating. So just try to be yourself and don't try to be anybody else on a date. Do try to be the best version of yourself. Don't be like, oh, I'm just going to be who I am and they'll just accept me or not. Doesn't work. Does not work for me. You have to be your best self. You do have to put on your best show of your best self, but don't pretend to be somebody else. Don't pretend to like something that they like so that they'll like you back. You can have disagreements. You can have different opinions. You can have different tastes. That's fine. Be you. Okay? Next one of the dating rules that you should break. This is a cool one. Don't talk to your ex. In general, 100% I agree with that rule. If you broke up with somebody, you got no reason to speak to them. None. Except if you'd like to get back together. Okay. Drip, drip, drip. I'm going to teach you about drip, drip, drip. What I like to do, if you went out with somebody and it didn't work out, you broke up, they broke up, you both broke up, you don't know what happened, it just fizzled. No matter what happened, if you broke up with somebody, but you are still interested, even if we don't know if they're interested or we know that they're not interested, I don't care about any of those things. If you are still interested and you want a chance to make it work with them, first of all, we have to talk about the breakup. There has to be a length of time between when you break up and when you actually start doing this, but you should reach out. You could text or you could call or you could make casual contact because we're trying to get an in for you because you actually think that there's potential there. And if you believe that there's potential there, then I believe that there's potential there. Now, if it's an unhealthy relationship or if it's an unhealthy experience, that's something else. We have to talk about it. If it's somebody that you really shouldn't be with and there's reasons that you really shouldn't be with them, we could talk about it. But if there's just reasons why this hasn't worked or didn't work yet or something, then you might want to consider breaking this rule. To be honest, this is something that I would highly recommend that you do with a coach and not necessarily on your own. Also, I once gave this advice to somebody and he said, well, it was actually to the father of somebody because he was interested in this girl and pursuing her. And I said, well, no, he should pursue her. And he said, no, there's a restraining order on him. Yeah, that's taking it too far. We are not talking about that, but we are just talking about pursuing somebody that you once had interest in that you still have interest in. Okay. Sarah, if you're there, if anything comes up that you think is relevant, don't hesitate to pop on and interrupt.
Okay.
I see comments are coming up, but I'm busy talking, so I'm not reading them all. Okay, so look, personality, your ex. Okay, did I really count right here? 1, 7. Yep, here's 7, and then we'll go to 8.
Lisa, can I, while you're counting, just a reminder to everyone, if you can drop your questions in the Q&A box, the chat moves too quickly for me to keep track of what's going on in the chat box. So if you just put a question in the chat box, drop it into Q&A because there are some great questions in there and I don't want to lose them.
Great, thank you. Okay, if you don't feel chemistry, you should dump them. In general, that's a rule that we follow. If you don't feel chemistry, you should dump them. However, I want you to break that rule. If you don't feel chemistry right away within the first date, the second date, the third date, you might want to consider continuing if you like what's on the inside, if you like some other things about them. If the chemistry isn't there, right now we're talking about virtual dating because that's what's happening in our lives and in the world. Virtual dating takes 2x, 3x, even 4x as long to develop a connection. Now, with some people virtually, you're going to instantly have chemistry like that. It's going to just work for you. With other people, it's not. But just because it doesn't work does not mean that they're not appropriate for you. It just means we just didn't have chemistry yet. Will it develop? Maybe. Will it not develop? Maybe. We don't know. So what I want you to do is to break that rule and to consider dating for a little bit longer, to get to know the inside, to get to know the outside, to maybe wait for an opportunity to actually meet in person, because there's going to be a lot of things that happen when you meet in person as opposed to meeting virtually. Now, caveat, we are super long distance right now because sometimes the person next door, you can't even get outside to see them. I get it. The world's in a very funky place. So we have to be, I don't know what the word is. We have to be aware and we have to know our limitations. If it's not developing for you, you might want to put something on hold and just say, let's maybe pick this up when we can meet in person and stop dating for the moment right now. That's also possible, but you don't have to just rush to end it. I want you to have your eyes open to giving something an opportunity to develop a little bit longer. Okay, now, number 8. Number 8 is, if you don't have clarity that this person is the right one and you're not sure, then you should get out. So most people think, if I don't know that it's a yes, then it must be a no. But that's not how we do it. If you don't know if it's a yes, then it's a maybe. It's an I don't know. It's an Aleeza. Hello, could you help me here? I don't have clarity. What's going on? We dated twice, 3 times, 7 times, 9 times, 15 times. I still don't know. Shouldn't I know by now? No, maybe you shouldn't know. Maybe you don't know. It's normal not to know. Majority of my clients, I mean, basically everybody, they don't know. That's why they come to me. We are making the biggest decision in our lives when we are choosing our spouse. The single most important decision in your life. It's normal not to know. It's normal to be confused. But just because you're a maybe or an I don't know, it does not mean dump them and get out. It means figure it out, marry them, or move on. And that's why you need support through that, whether you have mentors, coaches, somebody in your life to help figure this out. Maybe does not mean no. Maybe means maybe. Okay? So these are actually the top 8 things that the dating rules that you should break. Now, Sarah, are you gonna stay on audio tonight?
I think it's for the best.
Smart. Great. So we're staying on audio tonight with Sarah, so you get to see my Punim and not hers. Sorry, because we're gonna miss you. But this sounds good. So we are gonna open up the floor to question and answer. This is the part of our program where we just take the audience suggestions and ideas, and we would love to hear from you, your questions about this topic specifically.
Awesome.
All right, Sarah, take it away.
Okay, so this we just spoke about, so I'm going to ask right up front. Could I be friends with an ex? We broke up a couple years ago, but we recently met at an event. Can I be friends with them?
No. Okay, Sarah knows. I love this one. No, you can't be friends. Here's why you can't be friends. Either you like them or they like you. If you're like, no, it's not true, Aleeza. I'm not into them. I'm really not. I know they're not. You're wrong. One of you is into the other. It happens. It's just the way that it is. Men and women can't be friends. We were created to be drawn to one another. It's the way the world was designed, and somebody's always going to hold interest. So if you want to be friends, the only reason to be friends is like with an ex, if you would like to get back together. Friendship is a great way to get back into a relationship. And by the way, if you are already friends with an ex and you have no desire to get back in a relationship with them, they might be thinking to get back into a relationship with you. And maybe they've coached with me and I would have given them that advice. So if you absolutely do not want to marry and be in a relationship with this person that you are friends with, you should not remain friends.
Awesome. Another ex question. What if I'm not interested in getting back together with my ex, but I figured out that I owe them an explanation and an apology?
Give it. It really helps people to process and move on. It's kind of this like forgiveness. Okay, I don't like the answer, but I understand now. Thank you. It's so necessary. People struggle and suffer through the unknowing of what happened. And yes, if you need to give an explanation or you need to share something or you want to apologize or you want to just get it all out, yes, please do.
Yeah, I think it provides a certain degree of closure. The only thing I would add to that is that just make it clear that you're not interested, because obviously without knowing details, we don't know what happened. But if the other person was interested or was hurt or did want to get back together, you don't want to give them like hope that there's potential there, right? So you can give the apology or the explanation but without letting them think that there's something to talk about.
But do it gently, because if they are interested, no, do it really gently, because if they are interested, it is going to be like, why are they calling? Oh, they're apologizing. Oh, maybe there's an opportunity for me to make an in and make something happen.
Well, Lisa, how would you advise to do that? Yeah.
So it's a little difficult. Each situation is unique, but let's just make something up. Let's just say you're going to send an email. If you're going to send an email and you're going to say something like, I know that we broke up a while ago, whatever it was, and I've been thinking for a while that I owe you an apology. I'm not looking to, build a relationship or a friendship, but person to person, I really wanted to share this with you, and then go into it and share that with them. I think you could also, you could do that verbally over the phone, and you could tell them. It might be hard for somebody to hear it, because it's hard to listen, and then they're going to want to respond, and then they might want to ask questions. If you want to get something off your chest to get it off, but you don't necessarily want to have a back and forth with a conversation, and you're not prepared to handle that, don't make a phone call. Make an email. Don't do a text. I'll tell you why not to do a text. A text is like, my phone pings with texts all day long. Ding, ding, ding. And I see it and I'm like, woo. And now I'm jarred. You like popped into my life in like a real this moment now way. Texting is not for that. That's more like an email, like subject line, read this when you have time. That's a great subject line. That tells them, don't just open this during the workday when you're not going to be emotionally prepared to handle this. Read this when you have time.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Something like that. It feels good. Like, okay, you're putting something genuine, sincere, something real out there, and I should make time for it.
Right. Someone just commented, sometimes if you do it gently, they don't get the I don't want to talk to you message. Then you just have to keep saying it gently, and it's just uncomfortable. So I guess it's finding that balance between being gentle, but
you can wrap it up also by saying, I'm not sending this with the intention to start a discussion. I just really wanted to offer an explanation or an apology, but I don't really want to rehash or to start a discussion. I just wanted to put this out there because I thought that might be helpful for you.
Yeah.
It is hard to say like, oh, now I get to say something and you can't say something back. It is a little hard, but if it goes by emails, then it's a little bit easier to navigate it, because it gives people time to think and to respond. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. So someone just said, my feedback is that emails are generally very insensitive, and people you are ending it with take it offensively. That email is much less personal than a phone call. So just to clarify, this is not talking about if you're ending a relationship. This is someone Correct. Who ended a relationship a while ago and through their own inner work came to the conclusion that they really owe their ex an apology.
Or explanation.
Or an explanation. And I think that, Aleeza, you agree that would be appropriate to do via email, right?
I think it's appropriate to do via email, and maybe even more appropriate than a phone call, because unless you're willing to fully engage in a full-on discussion that might last 4 hours, and unless you are well composed and have your thoughts together and can get it out of your mouth the way that your brain has it, you won't have that opportunity via phone unless you are so, together that you can do that. It's going to trip you up and it's going to be complicated. And then they're going to ask you questions, and then they're going to kind of dig in a little, and you're going to be caught off guard. The reason that you want to do email is because you can write, you can rewrite, you can triple rewrite and edit and compose and recompose, and you can really clarify what you mean. And by the way, do not send your first draft. If you wrote it and you didn't do at least 2 revisions, don't send it, because it's not what you mean. You have to read the tone. You have to look. You have to have such an awareness and such a sensitivity.
I'm just gonna say, Aleeza's really good at this. If you have this kind of situation, or you ever have this kind of situation in the future, totally worth having a session with Aleeza to just review it. All right, and one more X question for now. If you have a shidduch suggestion, a dating suggestion for your ex, should you reach out to them directly, or should you suggest it through a middle person?
It's a good question. So my gut instinct is do it through somebody else. My
really?
practical wait a minute. My
Okay.
practical instinct is, who knows if that other person's going to follow up with a suggestion? It could be a great suggestion. Go directly to the source and tell them. If you're comfortable to tell them, I have a suggestion, and then to say, because I think that you're all these things, you're wonderful in these ways, and I think that this person is wonderful in these ways, and this is why I think it matches, then I think you know that person well enough, and they're going to take the suggestion really well, even if it hurts that it's coming from somebody that they might be interested in. Yeah.
I think I've done that so many times. I've recommended different girls and women I know to the guys I've dated. It's not just a lot more personal and sensitive and caring. It also, it shows that you care, but it's also, they usually take it more seriously because they know that you know them.
Right.
Like you spent time together. If it's a one-off date, maybe a little bit less, but if you dated for a few weeks or a few months, they know that you know what they're looking for, and they appreciate it that much more, and they'll take it that much more seriously.
Right. I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah.
But if you didn't end the relationship so well, and calling them is not going to be such a good idea, do it through somebody else.
100%. Okay, one last X question. How about being Facebook friends or social media following?
Ideally, you shouldn't. Ideally, not ideally. Just don't. Just delete friend. Don't see their posts or whatever. You can unfriend them, or what is it that you can do on Facebook where you can be friends with me, but I never see you. Unfollow. Thank you. So you can unfollow them. But the truth is, you want them to also not see you, because if you're not interested, they're not interested. Every time it comes in a news feed and a scroll, all of a sudden something happens inside. Even when you don't think it, no, you're over it, you're fine. And then poof, they appear there and they're having a great day, and they met somebody and they're engaged and all, and you're like, mazel tov, you know? You're like, I'm fine, I'm really fine. But you don't know what's going to set you off. Here's the question. What's the benefit? Why remain in social media contact unless you're trying to get back together with them and you want to like their posts and comment on their posts and do all these things that I would tell you to do? But if you're not trying to get back together with them, do not remain social media buddies. One less person is better.
All right, thanks. What are the rules to break when you're getting to know more than one suitor?
Don't do that. No. Okay, this happens all the time, and especially now that we are virtual, it's so weird. It's like, oh, I had a Zoom date, but I mean, it doesn't mean anything because it was just a Zoom date, and then I had another Zoom date, and then I had a speed dating Zoom 7 dates, and so I guess the generic rule is to date one person at a time. It's my favorite. You should just do it. It makes your brain happy, even though some of your brains won't be happy, but it really does make your emotional self happy. Maybe it doesn't make your brain happy, but I know it makes your emotional self happy. But in this case, I would say we sometimes need to break the rule, and you're Zooming with somebody to see if something's there, and then you don't know if you're going to be able to see them or how often or how much, and so sometimes people are Zooming or phone calling and dating more than one person. It's not my favorite. It's really not my favorite, but in this case, you could make an exception to the rule and break it temporarily with the intention of narrowing down to one person. I had a client recently, and she had 2 guys that she was talking to, and she's like, I don't know if I like either of them or neither of them or both of them. Like, I'm not sure. We're only Zooming. I said, okay, what you might need to do is to figure out who's physically closer to you. Because if you're not sure, we don't know. We have to go by location. Who could you potentially meet in person first? And then ask the other person, put them on hold, and just say, I'm not ready to move ahead with this right now. There's some potential here, but I have some other things going on that I want to kind of wrap up, and then I'll be back in touch, if things change for me. And leave it neutral, build a bridge, happy, healthy, put it on hold, and then meet that one person in person. That's what's really ideal.
Got it. Okay. What if a shadchan is sharing or pushing a rule that we want to break?
Right. Matchmakers do push rules that we want to break. If you do not do it gracefully, if you can't see their point of view, if you can't empathize and understand, it's not going to go so well. They might never set you up again. So I would like you to say something like, in general, I know the rule is to give it 3 dates before I'm making something up, but give it 3 dates before I would say no. But I really need to say no now because I have a strong instinct understanding this, it's not working for me. In general, I really do follow that rule, but this time I'm not. Okay. So it's not that I'm a rule breaker and I'm never going to follow that. I'm never going to do that. Even if you're never not, we're not telling anybody that. It's our secret. We don't talk about that. Okay. We don't talk about that with anybody. It's just between you and me that you're never going to break, you're going to always break that rule. But for that person, they need to know, like, no, I'm going to try to follow that rule. But this time it doesn't work for me. So if you do not come from a place of understanding and potentially almost being able to accept that rule, they're not going to accept you breaking that rule, right? If you're just like, oh, well, that's ridiculous, I don't want to do that. They're going to stand there and try to convince you for 2 hours why you should listen to their advice instead of yours. So if you really want somebody to be open to hearing your side, you've got to really be open to hearing their side. And there's validity to both sides. Neither one is universally right or wrong. It's just sometimes we do this and sometimes we do that.
That's fair. I like that. Thank you. All right.
Welcome.
I recently, is it weird for you that you're just looking back at your own face?
Yes. I miss you, Sarah. I want to see your put up next to mine.
I mean, we can try it one more time and see.
You're really fuzzy. It was bad. Sorry, your internet.
All good. I recently met a man whom I'm not really attracted to, but he is a good person. He doesn't dress the way I like, and he went out and bought some new clothes. I'm assuming you said something, so good for you and good for him. But he bought them at Savers. Should I keep dating him?
So for anybody who doesn't know Savers, can you tell us about Savers?
I have no idea what Savers is, but I'm assuming like a budget-friendly store.
Yeah, like Walmart. I like Walmart. I get stuff at Walmart. Okay. Oh, a kosher supermarket in Toronto.
In Toronto. I'm from Toronto, so that I did know. But Savers is a secondhand store. That's probably the one they're talking about. Savers with an E, not Savers with an O or OU.
Got it. Okay. So, oh gosh.
What is that?
Oh.
This was
no, it is not our night, Sarah.
We can keep talking.
No, you have to throw host back to me or I have to now go off and then come back on. It's not working. It's just unbelievable.
Why do I even have host? I didn't know I had host.
No, something popped on my screen and bumped me off.
Okay, your host.
Oh, are we together now? Okay.
Let's get together again.
Okay, let's try. Okay, so, if you're not attracted, but he made an effort, so you're talking to the wrong person because I am not one of those fancy schmancy, you got to buy from Saks Fifth Avenue or whatever your fanciest store is near you in your popular country. So in your part of the world. So I am perfectly fine with a secondhand store. You could still get great clothing, but you can't look like a schlepper. So if you look like you got clothing from a secondhand store because it's ripped or torn or stained, then we have a problem. But if you picked out designer clothing or something beautiful or just not a problem from a secondhand store, great. I'm happy with that. That doesn't matter to me. But it sounds like here it's like good person on the inside made an effort to try to do something different for you, and you're like, man, it's still a miss. You know, like, oh, we're so close, but oh my gosh, this is not, oh, okay. It's just so close, but yet it's so far. It's so frustrating. So I'm not sure what to do about this. I'm not sure, like, you could push a little bit further. Yeah, I'm going to call on you in a minute, but you could push a little bit further to try to make it work. I mean, it sounds like you've got somebody who's actually willing to make an effort for you. So like, hello, we got to stick with effort, because how many people are willing to make an effort for you? Not so many. Most people are like, you'll have to just accept me the way I am. And this person's totally into you. So That's my thought. Sarah, you comment, and I'm going to try to get my phone to stop doing what it's doing for a minute.
Okay.
So go.
I heard from a lot of friends when I was dating, like, don't worry about what the guy is wearing. That's something you could change. And I know we talk about all the time, we're not looking to change anybody, but there's a very big difference between like wanting to change someone's character or personality or habit versus what they're wearing, because most guys who don't put in such an effort don't actually care that much. It's not like they specifically want to not dress well, right? They just happen to not dress well. And so I've heard from friends, and I know, like, from my experience, I mean, my fiance dresses fine. But like when we went shopping together for the first time, he was like, "You're going to be my personal shopper now, my personal stylist." And I was like, "Yes, please." And at this point, like, I'll see, we're not married yet, and I'll see something in the store and I'll be like, "That is so him." And I sent him a picture. He's like, "Yep, pick it up." So I think that if he's the kind of guy who's going to make that effort to actually go out and buy new clothes because he knows that that's something you care about, most likely he's going to be totally fine if you want to just, be his personal stylist. If that's the piece in terms of attraction that's holding you back, I definitely think that's something to consider. And my friends have said the same things, like friends who have dated guys who, were a little bit schleppier. They're like, "I dress him now." And neither the guy doesn't care. Yeah. All right. Next question, Aleeza.
Yeah.
All right. How do we deal with I don't even know if this is one of the 7 rules, but I'm going to go with it anyway. How do we deal with the older, never married person? I find most people shy away from that by saying, what's wrong with this person that they're still not married?
Okay, so wait, this is a so dating rules, like you should never date somebody who's older and never married. So the main concern and the reason is, if you haven't been living with somebody, if you haven't been sharing a life together with somebody, the older we get, the more set in our ways we get, the more used to just doing our own thing that we get used to. And it's difficult to connect and to build a relationship and a life with somebody. That's the really challenging part. So and it depends on the age. Our clients are anywhere from 20s through 70s. Even our oldest client was 89. Actually, our 2 oldest clients, 88 and 89. But it's like, in general, yes, it's a concern, but it shouldn't be that you just never date them, because we're not going to never date them. There's some really great people who didn't have the opportunity, or had some complicated situations or just never found the right person. It just happens. Life happens. And so, yeah, sometimes we have to break that rule, but we have to investigate who we're looking into and see that it's still an appropriate person.
Awesome. So someone has a date this Sunday and wants advice, and I'm going to tell you, go back and look at the past webinars, because there is so much good information in there. Ways to date, the art of virtual flirting, magnetic dating. There are some great webinars that are literally all about virtual dating and the do's and don'ts of video dates and all of that stuff. So definitely go check those out. They're all available on the website. Ooh, I feel like I need an apology from my ex. How do I get that? Can I get that?
Yeah, so my instinct is to tell you no. But in reality, you could, if you're one of those straightforward, upfront people, you could write to them and you could say, "Listen, I was very hurt by some of the things that happened, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I wanted to let you know because it didn't hit me the right way, and I didn't think things were left on the right foot. And I just wanted to let you know that." I don't know that we're going to say like, "And I think you owe me an apology." I don't know that comes off the right way, unless, Sarah, do you have a better way of like smoothly saying,
I think I've done this before. I think I just kind of phrased it as, I'm looking for closure, and so it would be helpful for me to understand XYZ or whatever.
That's the answer. I'm looking for closure, and it would be helpful for me to understand. But that's understanding. That's not an apology.
Correct. It depends, how gutsy you are, but I'm the type of person that I would say, like, I was really hurt by XYZ, and I know that an apology would be helpful for me in moving forward into other relationships or something like that.
Right. Okay. Doable.
All right. So what if pandemic is causing an unknown time where we don't know when we can get together because of the pandemic. We're doing well Zooming and texting and talking. Is there anything to be careful about in maintaining and developing the relationship? So I know we spoke about, Zooming and the fact that it's going to take a little bit longer and all that stuff. But we also discussed a little bit, not in any webinar, about the fact that at a certain point, maybe we did mention it here, it just makes sense to put things on hold. Could you talk about that a little bit? And if you share at what point that comes into play.
Right. I also was everything that we're talking about has just been coming up with all of the clients that I've been working with, that our whole team has been working with. And right now the biggest challenge is, but when can we meet, right? And especially if you're long distance, or Canada and the States, or Israel and America, or you're not even in the same state or the same country, how long do we keep going with this virtual dating? So there's a couple different philosophies, and I'll give you your choices. You get like A, B, C. What do you like? Okay. So option A is you and I talk, we connect. It's like, wow, we have something nice. Hey, when could we get it together? If you could get together within the next 6 weeks or so, then okay, you should keep talking, and that's going to be okay. If you really can't get together for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, or you like mamish have no idea, you really have no idea when you could get together, then I'm going to tell you, you should say, look, this is nice. I've really been enjoying connecting with you. What I'd like to do is to put this on hold. And at the time that we think that we could meet in person, if you're single and I'm single and we're going to be in the same place at the same time, let's revisit this, because we can't keep going on indefinitely with a virtual date. It's very difficult. If you're somebody who in general has been dating long distance for a long time, and you in general don't see each other for an amount of time, you might have a longer tolerance or a longer threshold for how long you're willing to date before you actually are able to meet in person. But I've seen it happen where a couple dated virtually. They had great dates, even like you're like excited and there's something there and you're thinking it's amazing, amazing, amazing. And they didn't get together in person for, immediately. And then they got together finally in person, and it was what we call DOA, dead on arrival.
Are you
and I was
serious?
Like, I watched it. It happened in my own house. I was like in complete shock. And I'm thinking maybe deer in headlights, maybe just frozen, maybe just, and whatever it was, I didn't even get a real answer, like not into personality, look, style, like I don't even know what it was, but it was literally like chemistry, talk, amazing, there's something here, wow, oh my gosh, you're like, you could practically be engaged after talking because you like each other so much in video. And then they met and there was like nothing, and it was not to be revived. It was painful. It was really, really painful, especially somebody watching it. I could only imagine being one of the two people in it, but it didn't work. So
and it wasn't like a first time.
No, they had video. They had spoken on the phone. It was the first time they met in person, and he kind of just sat there and he was like, "Hi."
Sometimes it's awkward when you go from developing such a personal.
No, they had multiple. They had 3 days, 4 days. They had multiple in-person dates. No, it was like a whole weekend. It was a whole 4 days. It was like a thing. And it didn't get better after the first day. It didn't get better after the second day. And she's like, Lisa, like, what do we do? And I was like, I don't know. I've never seen this, and he's not even talking to me. I don't even have any, I don't know. It was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like, it was just a total about face. I've never seen anything like that. So that exists. So you've got to meet in person. Like, I might like your punim on the screen, but I might not like you in person. You might be cute, but like not my kind of cute.
Right. Okay. So the point was take a break. If it's going well, take a break.
Right. So the point was, if it's going well and you really can't get in person within 6 weeks-ish, normally I would tell you within 2 or 3 weeks. But if you can't get in person I'm going to double the time, within 6 weeks, you should just not take a break. Put it on hold to say there's something nice here. Let's revisit when we could be in person.
Okay.
Not break, hold. There's a difference.
Right. Sorry, that's what I meant.
I don't like
Yeah.
breaks in general, just to tell you about breaks. I'm not a big fan of breaks. I'm a big fan of work it out. A break, I'll tell you when a break would be appropriate: when there was a tragedy or a trauma or something that life circumstance happened. Not just, I don't know, I think we should take a break. I don't know, we should figure it out. But God forbid somebody loses a job or somebody in their life or any traumatizing situation, you take a break because there's something else going on that they have to figure out first.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense. Okay, follow up on the apology question. It's been a decade since then, and she's married with kids. Is it still appropriate to speak up and request an apology?
No. Married with kids? I don't know. You know what I'm going to tell you? Ask your local rabbi or mentor or somebody, because first of all, holding on to a grudge is not good for you. It's really not healthy to go back to an ex that's married. It's really, really unhealthy. And at the same time, people should have an opportunity to forgive or to ask for forgiveness and be forgiven, because if they don't know, then they could never get forgiven, and you're going to hold a grudge for the rest of your life and take that to the grave, then we have a problem. It's really complicated if they're married. That is not an easy answer, and I don't want to give you a go back to them. And I don't want to say not to, because I don't want you to hold on to this. I mean, definitely, look, if you can get therapy and move on from it on your own without going back to them, to me, that's ideal. But I do actually think that this is a question that I don't want to answer, like not with a real answer. It's bigger than that. I'll ask my people. I'll talk to my people, and then we'll talk to your people. I'll get back to you.
We'll talk to your people. All right. Okay. Hold on. Follow-up question to the older singles. Is it a red flag if a man is over 50 and never married? Men are generally in the driver's seat.
Right. So in general, if we're talking about red flags, yellow flags, if somebody's never been married, it's a red or yellow flag, because at a certain age, we expect that to happen. And again, it gets more difficult over the course of time. So it's one of those generic red flags that only becomes specific to that human being if there's a specific reason. But it is a little bit more of a red flag, and it's not just men, it's women also. It's just, we try to find our person. If we haven't found the person, a red flag doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means how do we know that you have the ability to build a relationship with somebody else when you haven't been working on that for an amount of time. So if somebody's been living with roommates and sharing space, to me, that makes it a little bit better, because in that case, I know that they have the ability to live and to compromise and to work with people. Right. If they haven't, it's just a concern, because we are going to go from, I'm in my space, you're in your space, I have my bathroom, you have your bathroom, I have my side. Right. Like I have everything that's mine, my money. How do you combine money? How do you combine living spaces? How do you combine talk and emotional space? There's so much space that we share when we live with other people that it's just difficult if for 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 years you've been doing things on your own and you've never had that opportunity to share with somebody. So it's not a red flag about you. It's not about your personality. It's not, why didn't you find your soulmate? Hashem has a plan. I'm not worried about that piece of it. It's just, my concern is, are you in a place to be very welcoming to having somebody in your face, in your space, and surrounding you 24/7? Well, and especially with lockdown, 24/7. Right.
All right. Okay, we have about 20 minutes left for questions. So let's breeze through them, give it 1 minute to each question.
Oh.
No pressure. Sometimes I call a match to say hello, introduce myself, and speak over the phone to see if we connect. Yet despite calling, my match texts often back instead. We then get into this crazy texting cycle that doesn't work, which takes multiple days. I can't stand it. It's a huge turnoff. Is this something I have to work on since people don't appreciate a call?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I am so with you. And at the same time, we have to work on it a little bit. And you can straight up from the very beginning, from the get-go, you can just say, I'd much rather do this over the phone, and give them 3 times that are good for you. And if they go back and forth, And I would just, if they are talking nonsense and how's your day and what's doing and blah, 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 I would just write back, I would love to catch up with you over the phone. Here's a few times that work for me. Give them at least 3 days and times. Tuesday at 7, Wednesday at 9, 8, not 9, 9 is the bewitching hour, or Thursday at 6, okay? If they keep going back and forth and they're just nonsense talking, then by the 3rd time, I would say, I would love an opportunity to get to know you over the phone. I'm not a texter. And if they don't respect that, if you can't even set up boundaries through texting and like that, then there's going to be a lot of miscommunication later, and maybe they're just not a good listener and it's not going to be a good match for you. Sorry if that was longer than a minute. Go.
Sorry. I find that this is really more of a comment, but I find that most people that get married most say that they knew when they met their husband or wife. So at the end of the day, I feel like all these rules, although they make sense, kind of go out the window when you meet the right one anyway.
That's true. If you meet the right one, then yeah, some of the rules we do follow, we don't follow, we break, we don't break, we, get around. Yes. Yes. But when you're meeting Mr. or Mrs. Maybe, and you're not feeling like it's the right one, it's easier to have some rules in place to help guide you.
Got it. Someone commented that he wouldn't date a woman he'd heard negative rumors about. What if she was really a nice person and the rumors were just spread by someone spiteful?
Yeah, you're not allowed to believe rumors and gossip. That's a part of guarding our tongues, Shmira Salashon, and you are not allowed to buy into things unless they are truth. So you could research it and you could look into it to see if what they're saying is true, but you should not believe it. Nope. That's not our way. That's not the Jewish way.
Awesome. Someone else says, I always check references and guys hate this. What should I do?
Okay, so reference checking, there's like, okay, because our audience is wide and we have religious singles and we have secular singles and we have everybody in between. So I'm going to just tell you, in the religious world, people have references, okay? And they check up on, like who are they and what's their story, and they get a little bit of information. In the secular world, you don't necessarily do that, but what you do is you like Facebook or Google stalk them or social media stalk them, and then you find out your friends and my friends, and then you call your friend, right? You're doing the same thing. We just do the same thing. We call it something different. And you're getting information on them. And basically, what you're trying to find out is, are you somebody who's appropriate for me? And maybe if my friend knows you, then they can give me information. Or if I'm checking a reference, then I'm going to get information. So first of all, in the religious world, because this question is coming from there, if somebody puts references on their dating profile, then they should expect that somebody might call them, even if they don't like it. Like, that's just a thing some people are going to call. In general, I personally have found references not to be super helpful. People are like, oh, they're amazing, they're so wonderful, you should go out with them. And you're like, no. I don't want to know if they're wonderful. I want to know if you think they might be wonderful for me, if you think we might be a match, or if there's any problems, or if there's anything that I need to know. And not a lot of people are not going to tell you those things. Every once in a while, reference checking actually pays off. Talking to mutual friends is a better idea. People have more of an insight because they usually know you and they know them, and that can be a little bit more helpful. But you have to be careful to make sure that it's not somebody's opinion of who you are or who you should be with, and that it's actually just information and facts. So if other people are irritated about it, I don't know what we can do about that. Like, they shouldn't put references on their resume.
Right. Okay. If one is currently dating someone who has an anxiety disorder and has failed in the past has failed long-term relationships with people with mental illness because of their lack of confidence, lack of decision-making, and commitment issues, what would be good advice for the one that's dating the person with anxiety for moving forward? Do you think having a professional behind the scene would be a good idea?
Yes, 100%. And often people have their therapist, they give them permission to talk to the person that they're dating. It works very, very well, so that you can understand the way that their brain works and how they function in the world normally, so that you can build a relationship with them and do your best to build it successfully. Instead of just spinning your wheels and trying to figure it out all on your own, somebody else could give you some insight. Tremendously helpful. And you as a couple might need a lot of support in the beginning to get things going.
Right. Awesome. Do you really need to give someone 3 dates if you know right away that it won't go anywhere?
A no is a no is a no is a no is a no. If it's a no, you do not need to give 3 dates. But if it's
If it's
anything
a no,
other than a no,
oh my gosh, Aleeza, if it's a no, you know.
write it down. Carly, Lana, write it down. Somebody save that for us because it's gonna great. Okay.
Does that now become a Sirleezaism?
That's an Aleeza-ism. Yes.
No, it's a Sirleezaism.
Oh, a Sirleezaism. Okay, you got it.
Did I ask you a question? Did you answer that?
Yeah, I said if it's a no, it's a no.
If you detect
I'm sorry. I'm gonna finish. Okay, so the other thing I want to say is like sometimes it's a no, no, no. Sometimes it's like a no, but you're like 98.2% sure it's a no. Just say it's a no. Don't just like if you really want to be open-minded and you're midway, you know, and you just don't know, you don't know. But if you really just, you know, you just want to be a good person and you just want to give somebody a chance for the sake of being a good person, that's not the right reason to give somebody a chance. You give them a chance because there's potential there, even if it's middle of the road potential. But if it's really not there, you don't have to give them a second date unless there are like what I would call a chesed date, like just for kindness, or there are certain reasons why we might go out a second time, but that's a whole other thing.
Got it. If you detect character traits you don't like over the phone or via email, is it worth even meeting in person?
Try to meet by video. Try to confirm, like inspect what you expect. That's what my dad taught me. You could put that down as an inspect what you expect. Okay, inspect, take a look into what you expect from somebody. And if you're expecting to be treated well or to hear certain things from them or not to have certain behaviors, and you're thinking, I don't know if this is really there. I'm seeing this, you know, like it's yellow flag, yellow flag, yellow flag. Then inspect it a little bit further to make sure that it's not, it is what you think it is. Do you know what I mean? That you're not jumping to a conclusion too fast.
Got it. All right, here's a good one. Due to the pandemic, I decided to enter online dating for the first time at the age of 35. Can you do a quick rundown of however many rules to break with the online profile? Can you give us at least one rule? What online profile rules should be broken? Because I feel like this is your forte.
I know, but I'm thinking about like, what are the profile rules? So, okay, my favorite profile rule, I don't like short and sweet. Everybody's like, oh, don't say so much, just a few little things. I'll just put like a short little summary. The rule to break, give me a Megillah. Make it really long, lots and lots of information. It's got to be good. It's got to be creative. You're not just babbling, but give me a lot of information so that when I read it, I really feel like I know you and I never even met you. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I know who he is. I know who she is. That makes sense to me. That would be my rule to break.
Awesome. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Is it okay to ask before Zoom date? How do I ask? Should I just ask the matchmaker?
Yeah, if you don't know how to pronounce somebody's name, definitely ask the matchmaker. Or if you get on the date and you're like, oops, forgot to call the matchmaker, you're not going to use her name on that date because you're not going to mess it up. So usually people don't use people's names until further on in the dating process, like date 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or somewhere further down the road.
All right. What if you write a lot and then there's nothing left to say on the date?
Then you're not a good conversationalist, and you should get a book called Conversationally Speaking, and it will help you.
Awesome. What about age gap? We didn't discuss this rule, but there are rules about age gap. What would you say about a 10-year age gap, like 26 and 36? Is it fair to say no to that?
Nope. Because if that were true, I wouldn't have married my husband. Because I met him when I was 25. He was 35, and before we got married, because we're 10 and a half years older, he's 10 and a half years older, he turned 36. So I would have not had my beautiful, amazing, fantastic, spectacularly awesome husband had I followed the don't date somebody 10 years older. By the way, I just heard from somebody that they are dating somebody 14 years older, and they wanted to know, is that a problem? It's not a problem. Is it outside the norm? It's outside the norm. I've also heard of 22 years older. Somebody else just told me her husband is 25 years older than she is. It wasn't what she planned. It wasn't what she was looking for. It wasn't necessarily what she wanted, but it happened. So I do not make up rules about age at all. And by the same token, men, you might not like this. Sorry if you don't like it. But when you are older, when you are younger and she is older, it also works. She could be 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, 9 years older than you. I have seen very mamish, very, very happy couples who are that way. And it works.
There's a comment. Better than 26 and 16. I'm sorry.
Okay. So my husband jokes, okay, you want to know the joke? My husband jokes, they're like, you know, hey, why couldn't you get married when you were like 25? And he's like, because my wife was only 15. We had to wait. We waited for her to grow up.
Someone just wants to know, can you repeat the name of the book that you just mentioned?
Conversationally Speaking. I think the author is Gardner, maybe Gardner is the last name. It's like blue and white or blue and pink. It has some sort of a color.
Okay. And I just want to add on the flip side, I was the kind of person who never understood why people made such a big deal about 10-year age gaps, because that worked out. So from the time I was 21, I was dating probably guys about 7 to 10 years older than me consistently. And it worked well in terms of like life experience. And my fiance is 5 months younger than me. So
wow, I didn't know that. I think I totally forgot that piece.
You forgot that. You knew that.
Wow.
Yeah. It works. It totally works.
I do want to say there are some people that do not like an age gap at all. It just bothers them to their core. I'm not telling you if it bothers you to your core to date somebody that's older than you. I'm just saying I've seen many healthy marriages, mine being one of them, with a 10 or more year age, 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 15, 20, a large age gap, and they have phenomenal marriages. So if you're saying, is it okay? Yes, it's okay. Is it normal? I mean, I see it happen all the time. Is it what happens to the majority of people? No, but it happens to a good number of people in the world.
Awesome. So we got a few different questions in the chat asking about coaching and prices and availability. So I'm going to, in about 5 minutes, we'll stop with the questions. I'm going to let Aleeza give you all that information. But in the meantime, I'm going to actually take a few questions. Can you ask a man if he's looking for marriage versus a long-term relationship, especially men in their 60s? Short answer, yes. Correct?
Yep.
Awesome.
Or you can tell them, I hear that. Or you could tell them, I'm looking for marriage. I'm not just looking for a long-term relationship. Instead of asking them what they're looking for, tell them what you're looking for. And then they have the opportunity to say, oh yeah, I'm not interested in that. I want this.
Right. Comment, going back to the references, make sure references are up to date and legit references. By the way, cannot tell you how weird it is when the references, you can't get through to a single one. It's super sketchy. Been there, done that. Make sure your references know that they're your references. Also super weird when you call up and they're like, oh, I haven't spoken to her in about 8 years. I don't know what she's up to. And you're like, dude, you're literally on her resume on her profile as a reference. And they're like, oh, really? I didn't know that.
Right.
Which is weird. Okay.
Right.
A few different questions about how long you should date someone until you get engaged, until you should know. How do you know? When do you realize this? So for those questions, I'm going to say go back to, I think it was in Relationship Roadmap that we discussed all this, right? We discussed soulmates and both. Relationship Roadmap, we discussed.
And Are You My Soulmate? Relationship Roadmap and Are You My Soulmate? Both.
Those 2 webinars are great webinars to check out. All right. I just lost my question page, but there was one here that I wanted to talk about. I'm not finding it, but I'll paraphrase. I have a bunch of children, or I have children. They are my world. When do I bring them up? And we got a question from the flip side. If someone says that their kids are their everything and the most important things in their life, how am I supposed to take that?
Don't put that on your profile. I know you're saying other people might do it.
No,
so
I know.
They're reading some, right. But really, if your children are your everything, then there's no space for somebody else to be your everything in your life. And to be honest, your children, please God, will grow up and leave your home and go get married and find their own person. So they cannot be your everything. Your spouse is meant to be your everything. You should be your everything to yourself, between you and God, and you and your spouse are supposed to be your everything. You're supposed to be your own little world that works together. Your children are a part of your life. They might be a big part of your life. They may be a fantastic part of your life. But I don't like when people introduce children to the picture before they introduce each other. So meaning, I want you to get to know them. I want them to get to know you. And I want you to build a beautiful relationship together. And that's the most important thing. If you bring your children up, some people like family and they want to be with a family. And they might like the fact that you have kids more than they like the fact that they like you. So we got to figure out you and them before we bring anybody else into the picture. And also in terms of introduction of children, I am an enormous fan of not introducing children to anybody in a relationship until you're extremely close to getting engaged. We do not bring children into the picture. Children are very fragile and delicate, and emotionally, it is not my favorite to have them involved. And then, oh, poof, that person disappears. Oh, and the relationship didn't work. Oh, sorry. And it's like, oh my gosh, we finally wrapped our heads around the fact that this could be something, and it's nothing. So unless you're really just, going to that stage of like, we are going to get engaged. Okay, great. Then we can bring the children into the picture. In terms of talking about them, if I like you and you like me after 2 dates, 3 dates, and then you want to talk about other people in your life, it's okay. But don't hyper focus on them.
Got it. All right. If you have a good connection with a person intellectually, good thought-provoking conversations, and emotionally open, vulnerable, what can you do to build the chemistry?
Yeah. So chemistry, romance. So it's almost like we need to dim the lights and light the candles. If you're able to be in person and you can go outside and go on a date or be in a romantic restaurant, which I don't know, nowadays with everything the way it is, I don't know that any of this is possible, but maybe you'll be watching this video in 6 months from now and you'll be like, oh, that's okay. Things are good now. But to set the mood, we need to use our environment around us to set the mood more than you and I setting the mood, because right now we didn't get into that mood yet. So if it's possible to do that with lighting or candles or something where we're not having this big excited conversation, maybe you have a soft conversation, you whisper, you lean in. Which webinar did we talk about that on?
Magnetic dating or the art of virtual flirting?
Yeah, both
or
of those.
One and a bunch of them.
Okay, fine.
Exploring emotional intimacy. That was last.
There we go. Exploring emotional intimacy talks about how to create an intimate moment between you and your partner. And sometimes it's not instantly there and you have to build it. But it's not that it's artificial. It's just that you have to work for it, and it's not just given to you like, yay, here you go. Here, it's so easy on a silver platter. It's like, no, I gotta, blood, sweat, and tears. I gotta build something here. I gotta make it happen. So yeah, check out the emotional intimacy webinar for more info.
Okay. And what if this is not a virtual relationship? How long should it take to develop chemistry?
Depends on you. Like, are you a chemistry person, right? So like if you ask me, I work really hard to build chemistry and a connection with lots of people, friends and neighbors and mentors, and chemistry in even, I'm talking about platonic relationships where you're building something. Like if you want to make a new best friend, you got to make it a little bit spicy. You got to make it exciting. You got to make it interesting. You got to make it like there's something there. So if you're not a person who does that easily or naturally and doesn't do it well in the rest of your life, then I wouldn't expect you to do it well in your dating life. And I would expect it to take longer. How long? I've seen it take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months or more, where they really, really like what's going on, but there isn't that chemistry the way that they want or expect it to be there. And it just takes time. And sometimes it's not, sometimes our expectation of chemistry is off, and you want something that you might never have because it's not your persona or your personality. So that's a tough one. It's a really tough one. It doesn't always come. So it's not like the movies, my friends. It's not like the movies.
Wait, what? Seriously?
Right? It's not even like the relationship that Sarah and I have. Like, we have like a personal, we know each other well, we like each other, we work together, we connect, but we have this like fun, engaging chemistry kind of personality. And people have commented like, we like you guys on screen together. We could see it. There's just something there. So again, if you have a hard time building that with people, you're going to have a hard time building that. But if you know how to build that, then you could do that with anybody, not just the person that you're dating.
So the good news is there are tools that you can, and skills that you can learn and develop.
Yeah.
You're not. All right, let's do 2 more. So if I have a Zoom date where the girl's in bed, this is a red flag for me. However, it has happened on nearly all virtual dates I've been on. I don't know if this is the same person, but we did also get a question that came in that said on 4 different dates, the girls were like lounging in bed in pajamas. Should I consider this a red flag considering it seems so common? All you women out there, please don't do that. Do not make everyone look bad. Do not be lounging in bed in your PJs. This is a date for Pete's sake, or Adam's sake, or Jonathan's sake, or Yaakov's sake. Like, just no. Why? Okay, Aleeza, you.
Okay, Sarah, that was great. Right? So it does seem to be more normal that people are lounging in bed. But wait, I'm going to do the opposite side, right? Since you just gave the Aleeza spiel, I'm going to give the other side. I'll tell you why they're lounging in bed. Because they have no other privacy in their house. So they might only have privacy in the room. Just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. First of all, you shouldn't be able to see their whole thing. Like, you shouldn't know. Like, this, like, how do you know if I'm in pajamas? If this is my pajamas,
Right.
if this is my shirt? You shouldn't know. That's first of all. Second of all, they might not have a chair in their room, so they could lounge on their floor, leaning up against the wall. And if they don't have a stand, like, here, look, I got my trusty stand, so it's not moving. If you don't have that, then you're holding it. So yeah, don't be lounging in bed and doing it. But I see and I know why people are doing it, but it still doesn't make it right. So is it a red flag? Yeah. Do you have to get over it? No. I mean, not unless you really, really, really like them. I would call it a red flag and move on.
Yeah, and I after like my whole little rant, like, just to be clear, I've totally done video dates in bed, but you would never know I was in bed. And if I was wearing pajama shorts, you would never know. Like, there's still a way you can do it appropriately. Right. So the whole bed, like, we have nowhere else to be.
You can't be really laying down in bed like this where you're
Correct.
Looking up at the camera and you're like, hey, how you doing? No, don't do that.
Just don't. Okay, last question was, let me find it. Give me 1 second. And we had a few that looked similar to this one. Is there any way I can get one-on-one advice before my Zoom date on Sunday? So the short answer is yes. I don't know if Aleeza introduced me at the beginning. I'm just going to reintroduce myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Sarah
Good.
Kupfer. I am the founder of Love in Any Size. So I help women in larger bodies who are struggling with weight, stigma, and dating believe that they can find and experience love. I also work with Aleeza. I help her with marketing. I get to moderate these calls, which is super fun when it's not wonky and I'm not fuzzy. And Aleeza was my dating coach. And I can say pretty confidently, there was no way I would be engaged right now. My wedding is in 33 days. And there's no way I would be engaged right now without Aleeza. I think I was the first client, right? I was the first client to do the Under the Chuppah package.
Yes.
So Aleeza's Under the Chuppah package is a 3 or 6 month package. I think I probably did the year one. It's a 3 or 6 month package. I'm going to let Aleeza tell you what it is, but my point is it's a great option for people who are investing in their relationship and want something that's like it's literally like having a dating coach in your back pocket. And just to clear up some misconceptions, I was not dating when I started the Under the Chuppah package. I was out of dating. I was actually on an intentional
You're on a dating break.
Yeah. But Aleeza helped me work through looking at the past, looking forward, what I need to do, what I need to work on from a dating perspective, sitting down with the mystery in your history, which I won't get into now. But she does have some other amazing coaches that are available for one-off sessions. Aleeza, you tell them about it.
Okay, great. So, love you, Sarah. You're almost married. It's almost a month away. I'm so excited. so excited to dance at your
Just
wedding.
for the record, just so I put it out there, because I know like I look like I'm a little baby. I was dating for over 8 years. So I know for some people that's like, that's nothing. You're still a baby. I am still a baby, but I was dating for 8 years. I've been to Aleeza's events. I know the struggle. So
it's real.
yeah.
Okay. So we love working with singles. It's our passion to help singles get over their hurdles and under the chuppah. And in addition to myself, I have a team of 5 coaches that will help you through this process. So under the chuppah is, like Sarah said, is a package to work with me for 3 months or for 6 months. I am looking for really only a handful because my schedule is pretty booked right now with my current clients. But what do we say? I have space for 4 clients to do either a 3-month or a 6-month package. And you can learn more about that on our website at Carly will drop the link for the Under the Chuppah package. If you're looking for dating advice and you're like, I need to have, you know, just a quick check-in, a phone call, 1 session or 2 or 3 or a few, or like, I don't want a whole, you know, 3-month, 6-month thing. I just have questions. I need them answered. I have trained a phenomenal.
Like if you have a Zoom date on Sunday.
Like if you have a Zoom date on Sunday and you're like, I need help. I have coaches available to support you. And that is called Over Your Hurdles. So if you want to get over your hurdles in dating and you just want a session and there's like no commitment and no nothing, you just meet a coach, you get support and you move on with your life, then we have phenomenal coaches available to you. So I would love to tell you about them quickly. One is Reagan. Reagan works with women of all ages from all backgrounds. And she specifically works with female clients, not with male clients. She is great. She can help you with before you're dating profiles, getting ready, prepping yourself. She can do anything if you know or don't know yet about mystery in your history, kind of looking back and seeing if there's anybody from there. I know you're going to say there's nobody, but there is. And she can work with you through the whole dating and relationship process. Her specialty is actually summarizing the session and sending you written notes at the end, what you did and what you're walking away with and what your homework is. And it's just amazing. She sends these phenomenal emails out. So when you work with her, you get that as a bonus.
That sounds like perfect for anyone with a type A personality.
Yeah, I love it. I love to work with people like that. I'm like, can you just summarize?
Me too, I know.
You know, right? I'm like, I'll talk, you scribe, take notes and send them to me. And that's exactly what Reagan does. If you're looking to work with a male coach, we are blessed to have Michael on our team, and he works with men and women of all ages. He has a family therapy background. He works with us as a coach and a mentor, and he's been really successful at helping his clients to get under the chuppah, either, again, whether you're just starting dating or you're in a relationship and you want to figure things out. He works with everybody throughout the entire process. We also have Shira, who is also, we have a couple of therapists on our team who work with us as a coach, and she has limited availability. She's only available on Sundays, and she also works with men and women of all ages, and she is happy to work with you. If you're in a relationship and you want to work through something, or you just have something specific to work on, you're like, oh, I need somebody who knows how to handle this. Call Shira. She's going to know how to handle this and help you through it. If you love to dig super deep and you kind of love therapy, but you really want it from you want a coach, but who has that kind of a strong background, who uses it in her coaching, look into Alana. She works as a coach with us. She also has a background of being a therapist and a matchmaker. She's top notch, and she goes pretty deep and really digs into some things that helps you to move through the dating and relationship process. She really loves to work with her clients. We have 45-minute sessions available in general, but she loves to work with her clients for an hour because it takes time to work through these things. And if you're interested in a personality analysis from a Jewish Torah perspective, you are going to want to grab 2 sessions with Leah, or 1 long session for an hour and a half with Leah, and work with her. She is an expert. She does this better than I do this. She does this personality assessment and can tell you more about yourself and more about what you're going to match with and why that's going to be a good match for you. And then you can either continue working with Leah through the dating relationship process, or you can move on and take that information and use it with one of the other coaches. It's your choice. And if you want to work with me, I am looking for clients who are interested to work together for 3 months or for 6 months to make a real commitment and to work through this. I work intensely and closely with my clients. And I love working with them. I just have a whole group of you that I'm just like, just love. Yes.
And anyone who does the Under the Chuppah package actually has the advantage of potentially getting to work with some of the other coaches on specific aspects.
Oh,
right?
oh yes. Yeah. With the Under the Chuppah package, that's the amazing thing. You don't just get me, you get the whole team. So if we want to send you for personality assessment, we send you to Leah and you have a session with her. And if we think that you could benefit from working with Alana for a session, you would work with her, and you get to work with me as well. So it's like you get the best of all worlds. You get all of us. And can I move on now? I really want to bring on Jessica Foss, who is the owner, operator, founder of Fast Pass to Love. And I would love to give her an opportunity to tell us. She is our sponsor and she is phenomenal. And we started collaborating with her. So Sarah is going to put you on as I am going to do it. Oh, it's because I'm hostess. Hang on. I have to find you and do this. Hold on. It's a good thing it's an alphabetical order here. So here we go. Promote to panelist. Did it work? Let's see if she's here. Did that work? What I did? Are you here, Jess?
Jessica, unmute yourself.
Unmute and turn your video on. Do we have to throw her host to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We're throwing you host. Here we go.
Oh, wait.
Okay, yeah. She's host for the moment. Jess, you're host. Now try.
You're still muted.
Hi,
You're muted.
hi. Did it work?
Hey, it worked. Great job. We did
it. Oh, great. You guys did it. Go technology. It worked at the end, finally, when we need. Hi, Sarah. Good to meet you. Aleeza, good to see you as always.
Good to see you.
Okay, great. So just say a little bit about myself, right, Aleeza?
Yeah, tell us about
tell
us about your matchmaking, and we want to introduce you to the audience because you have made some pretty fantastic matches and you're an international sensation.
Awesome. Thank you for that compliment. Hi, everyone. I'm honored to be sponsoring Aleeza's webinar tonight. She's been doing amazing work a long time, but during the pandemic, offering you these free webinars is just amazing content. And I've been listening myself and sending them to all my clients and telling them this is your homework and you must listen before I talk to you again for a feedback call. So she's doing a lot of my work for me. And I'm so excited that she's part of my team now as one of my trusted coaches that I include in a package if you're working with me. So just quick about me, I'm an international matchmaker. I'm certified by the Matchmaking Institute of New York. I did the certification when I lived in Tel Aviv for 5 years. I made Aliyah, so I have dual citizenship. So I understand the mentality of living in Israel, living in the US, and Jewish international mindsets worldwide. Because when I was living there, I started with matching Latins and Danish and Dutch to Israelis. So I really kind of joked that I could understand all the accents when they couldn't understand each other. So I was like a translator. And Israelis have a lot of problems with Australian and South African accents. So that was like a big translation. They still do. So I love what I do. I started just because I was very social, matching friends, and it turned into a business. It's my lucky 7-year anniversary this September of doing this. Yeah, lucky 7, I think. During the pandemic, it turned 7. And so I've matched Israelis to a Danish woman. They got married, a Dutch woman, an American man to a Brazilian woman, a man from Uruguay. He had a few matches and they didn't work out. And then I coached him how to do online dating better. So he met his Israeli wife from OkCupid in Israel. And I never even got to meet his children yet because they're always so busy when I'm in Tel Aviv. But his pictures are on my website as my marriage. He gave me permission to use those photos. So what can we do for you? I can do worldwide searches all over the world for your Jewish partner. And during the pandemic, my business got busier than ever because I think people are more open to long distance, because it doesn't matter if you're both in New York, you might not want to meet in person right now. So why not kind of open your filters and open your horizons and talk to someone in Los Angeles, in Connecticut, in New Jersey. You could do the whole tri-state area. And, so even if like you really wanted to stay on West Coast, open up to the rest of the West Coast, East Coast. But I have people now even opening up to Israel because they've been dating in their own neighborhood. And this was the time for self-reflection, like, hey, what I'm doing isn't working for me. So I'm now open to finding a Jewish person internationally, because the more things we have on this list, the more difficult the search becomes. So we want to keep Jewish with Jewish. So if you have a lot of other prerequisites, let me help you take distance out of the equation. And I use other matchmakers, Facebook groups. I'm kind of like an agent, if you're familiar with the entertainment industry, and a headhunter. So that's like what a modern day matchmaker is. And Aleeza will coach you along the way. It's very, very important now. When I first started 7 years ago, I didn't make it a prerequisite to coach. And as I've gone on, I've realized all the clients that had success and got married, either they went to a therapist or a coach or a combination. And so, yeah, it's like the best thing, because you can do your homework, work on yourself, and then you're more ready and emotionally available when you have the right match. So sometimes we start you on online dating, you do that for a little bit and you get some practice, and then we upgrade you to be ready for the matches that I headhunt and cherry pick for you. I also have a partnership with Saw You at Sinai. So if you've ever been on that site before, I can like look and see your history and see what's happening behind the scenes and kind of give you a reality check in our consultation. So if you've been on there for years, like stay on, because I will be using that database as well, and I can see what's going on there. I can literally see some mystery in your history and tell Aleeza what was going on there too. And together I can literally see the people that accept and decline the match. And sometimes when the matchmaker agent is advocating for you, a lot of the time, the person will open their eyes and say, okay, Jessica, if you say this is an amazing person and the photos aren't doing justice, or maybe I was too picky on religious level, you're telling me they're a bit more open, I'm going to give it a shot. And just one quick story I'll tell about one of my favorite matches I ever made. Israeli guy, Dutch woman. I set them up. They went on one date. He said, we set it up at a wine bar, very nice. He said, I am not really feeling it, so I don't want to go on a second date. Completely agreed with Aleeza that, until it's a firm no, you should go on 3 dates. But he decided it's a no. So I didn't push it. It was the beginning of my career. And then they stayed friends because Tel Aviv is a small town and everybody hangs out together. It's easy to run into each other at Shabbat dinners and singles events. So he kept seeing her, and then everyone started teasing him, why are you not dating her? But they became like kind of male-female best friends, and they would tell each other their dating stories, but they weren't dating. And again, like everyone's saying, she's amazing for you. What's wrong with you? They love to run together. They love to go out to eat together. They like the same movies. And so finally he asked me what to do a year after he met her. He said, I messed up. I cut this off at the beginning. I cut my arm off at the beginning. How do I grow it back now? So it is kind of like a miracle to do that. So I said, okay, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to ask her what she thinks of you now and like plant the seed. And so I went out to dinner with her actually, and I got a fortune teller to read her fortune. And I said, what do you think about this guy and her life? And he said, yes, I think that guy is going to try to take it romantic. I didn't actually ask him to say that, but that was perfect. I think he knew what I needed him to say. And then I said, okay. And then I said, how would you feel if so-and-so tried to take it to the next level? And she said, yeah, I always did wonder what happened. And I'm open, I'm receptive. She didn't close it off. And good, stay open, everyone, as Aleeza says, to your past. And so then I gave him the kind of, okay, the green light. I said, why don't you invite her over to your usual friend movie night? And they'll all say they can't come. It'll be you and her. And your opening line can be, what did the fortune teller say to you and Jessica? And that would be the cue to make your move. And I remember they both called me. I was on a Tel Aviv bus. I'll never forget. And it was raining. And they both called me at the same time. And I also didn't want to miss my stop, because you guys have been to Israel, you know how stressful it is to get off the bus in time. And so I was like, I want to answer, but I don't want to miss my stop. And I answered them, but I was like, hang on. And then I answered the other one. And I think I just said like, relax, don't worry, it's going to be fine. And then they were together ever since, and they got married. They got engaged a year after that, after like the first date. And now they have 2 beautiful Dutch Israeli children, and they actually moved to Holland. I think they'll come back to Israel one day, but
wow.
They have dual citizenship and they'll have 3 languages. So sign up with me and Aleeza, because I'm really excited to make babies that speak 3 languages, because I've always been jealous that I'm not trilingual. I want Dutch, Israeli, kind of Americanized kids, because there's so much English. So they're kind of like all 3 nationalities. And then I have the Danish Israeli, and they're actually just moving to Denmark now. And I have the Brazilian and the American. So the Uruguayan and the Israeli. And it's amazing. So guys, love knows no distance, and love can't be quarantined. And that's the end of my spiel.
Amazing. Okay, so Carly, put in the chat box fast pass to love and .com so that people can find Jessica and they can reach out to her. Or do you want them to go to the website, or do you have an email that you want them to go to be in touch with you?
Should I put it in the chat?
Yeah, stick that there.
Go to my website and fill out your free profile, or you can email me if you. And then if you do become a client, you're going to get some coaching with Aleeza included. So that's an added bonus.
Fantastic.
You know what stands out to me about Jessica's story? I mean, I love the international stuff because my fiance is Israeli and I have no idea how we're going to make it work, but we'll figure it out. But I love, it's like what we were talking about earlier. It doesn't matter how good friends you are. There's always someone who wants more.
I told you. There's always somebody who's interested.
Yeah.
Even if they don't realize it at the time or whatever, it proves my point. So thank you, Jess. That was good.
I really agree. Thank you, ladies, for letting me on. Love all your webinars and all your great work you're doing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. Okay, so we are going to wrap it up. Did we leave anything out, Sarah? Are we good?
I don't think so. The replay of this webinar will be in your email inbox on Sunday, God willing. We have next week's webinar. Should we throw it out?
Yes.
I don't even remember what it's called.
I don't remember. We did a good job. We did it before Thursday night. Everybody's like, what's the next webinar? And we're always like, we don't know. Also, I see somebody asking about pricing and this and that. Go to Jessica's website, check it out, talk to her. She'll give you more information about specifics about what it means to work with her, how long, and what your options are. Okay, Sarah, I see you got it.
I can't believe we forgot this one. It's let's not get physical.
Let's not get physical. Great.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Fantastic.
So that's next week. We'll be here.
That's it. We'll see you next week.
Aleeza, your host.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, okay, great. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Bye.
Lots of love, everyone. Good night.
Bye.